When your bank account feels dry, your job applications go silent, or your business stalls for no clear reason, it's tempting to ask, God, have you forgotten me? But here's the uncomfortable truth you must hold on to. God's delay is not God's denial. Heaven doesn't operate on your timeline. It operates on God's divine purpose. That delay you're facing might feel like punishment, but it's actually preparation. Think about Abraham. God promised him a son, a legacy that would bless nations. But Abraham waited 25 years for that promise. Not because God forgot, but because God was building something in him that would outlast a lifetime. Financial delay often functions the same way. It refines your spirit, your strategy, and your trust. It's not always the enemy blocking your money. Sometimes it's God shielding you from immature decisions that could sabotage your future. So before you assume God is ignoring your prayers for financial breakthrough, ask a deeper question. What is God developing in me during this delay? Because He's not just trying to bless you. He's trying to build you. He's more interested in your transformation than your transaction. Let this truth reset your focus. Delay is a sign of divine involvement, not divine absence. It's the workshop of wisdom, the incubator of stewardship, and the foundation of your future testimony. Testing the heart before the harvest. Before God hands you the keys to overflow, He checks the state of your heart. Because abundance without alignment leads to arrogance. Delay isn't always a punishment. It's often an X-ray, a divine scan of your motives. Are you chasing wealth to serve the kingdom or to feed your ego? Are you praying for increase but secretly idolizing lifestyle over purpose? Look at the Israelites. God delivered them from Egypt, promised them a land flowing with milk and honey, yet took them through the wilderness first. Why? Deuteronomy 8:2 explains it clearly. The Lord your God led you these 40 years in the wilderness to humble and test you in order to know what was in your heart. In today's terms, God delays your promotion or payout to see if you'll still tithe when it hurts, still steward when it's tight, and still worship when nothing is showing. Modern financial wisdom affirms this. Dave Ramsey often teaches that money doesn't change your character, it reveals it. The delay is your rehearsal space, a place where God observes, will you live below your means now or only after the breakthrough? Will you plan, budget, and build systems in lack or only in surplus? Don't despise the testing season. It's where God decides if you're ready for the harvest. Pass the test privately, and God will promote you publicly. If you think God cares more about your cash than your character, think again. The Lord is not raising spoiled spiritual brats. He's building trustworthy stewards. That means your integrity matters more than your income. And often God delays your finances because He's crafting the kind of character that won't collapse under blessing. Let's talk about Joseph. He was shown a vision of rulership early in life, dreams of power, influence, and financial authority. But what followed? 13 years of delay. Betrayed by brothers, sold into slavery, falsely imprisoned. Why? Because God was building a man who could handle influence without corruption. By the time Joseph managed Egypt's resources during famine, his character was fire-tested and humility hardened. In financial terms, this looks like developing habits before the harvest. Tools like zero-based budgeting, available through platforms like EveryDollar or You Need a Budget, YNAB, teach you discipline now, not later. Delayed wealth without developed character leads to what Proverbs 20:21 warns. An inheritance gained too early in life is not a blessing in the end. Strive Masiyiwa, the Christian billionaire behind Econet, once said, God doesn't just bless businesses, He blesses the people who can handle the business. If you're not faithful over 10,000, why would God release 10 million? So ask yourself, not just when will money come, but am I becoming the kind of person God can trust with more? Because that's the real setup for supernatural increase. Crushing the poverty spirit. One of the quiet reasons God delays your finances is to confront the poverty spirit, a toxic mindset, not a bank balance. The poverty spirit says, "I'll never have enough, I must hoard to survive," or riches are ungodly. It paralyzes purpose, poisons ambition, and mocks God's ability to provide. So instead of releasing wealth into that mindset, God delays because He loves you too much to bless a broken system. This isn't about how much money you have, it's about what money means to you. You can be broke and free, or rich and enslaved. A poverty spirit tells you to settle for scraps when God has prepared a table. That's why Romans 12:2 urges you to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Before God multiplies your wallet, He renovates your thinking. In practice, crushing the poverty spirit starts with mindset shifts and financial education. You use tools like Mint or Personal Capital to track your net worth, even if it's small, because clarity builds confidence. You listen to leaders like Dave Ramsey, Lindsay Snyder, or Michael Hyatt, who model what it looks like to be both wealthy and God-honoring. You learn about value-based spending, making money choices that align with your kingdom calling, not culture's chaos. And most importantly, you stop calling poverty humility. God isn't glorified when you're drowning in debt. He is glorified when your finances testify to His faithfulness, generosity, and wisdom. Don't protect the poverty spirit, kill it. That's the first step to unlocking delayed provision. Detoxing you from financial idols. Let's be honest, sometimes the thing delaying your financial breakthrough isn't the devil. It's your idolatry of the very breakthrough you're praying for. When money becomes your savior, your status symbol, or your emotional crutch, God may step in with silence. Not because He's cruel, but because He refuses to let you worship the blessing more than the blesser. Remember the rich young ruler in Mark 10:17-22? He kept all the commandments but walked away from Jesus sorrowful because his wealth owned him. He didn't fail the moral test, he failed the loyalty test, and Jesus let him walk away. That's what idols do. They keep you close to religion but far from surrender. And God, in His mercy, will delay your financial elevation to protect your spiritual foundation. You might not think you idolize money, but here's the test. If God said not yet, would you still be joyful, still be generous, still be faithful? Or would your faith crumble like your savings account? This is why spiritual and practical detox go hand in hand. You use apps like Credit Karma or Tiller Money to review your finances, not to obsess over numbers, but to reorder priorities. You implement tools like the envelope system not to restrict but to discipline. You fast from impulse purchases. You practice tithing when it hurts. These are acts of spiritual warfare, not just budgeting. God delays finances to purify your heart before He multiplies your hand. The delay is not withholding, it's a loving detox. Because what you refuse to lay down, God may never pick up. Training you for wealth management. God is not just interested in giving you money, He's training you to manage it. Without strategy, increase becomes a curse. That's why delay isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's your personal financial boot camp, and God is your coach. Let's go back to Joseph. When Pharaoh finally elevated him, he didn't just hand Joseph a title, he handed him the entire economy of Egypt. And Joseph didn't fumble. Why? Because the years of slavery and prison had trained him in logistics, administration, leadership, and stewardship. When the abundance came, Joseph had systems in place. That's what delay does for you. It's the classroom where you learn to budget with clarity, save with intention, and invest with wisdom. You start with tools like YNAB, You Need a Budget, or zero-based budgeting to direct every dollar on purpose. You use Acorns or Fidelity. Go to automate small investments and practice consistency. You open high-yield savings accounts or CDs to build discipline around delayed gratification. This is also where you learn cash flow forecasting, planning not just for today, but for next quarter, next year, next decade. It's where you study basic financial ratios, eliminate high-interest debt, and learn to track your net worth using apps like Personal Capital. God won't release abundance into hands that squander basics. Just like a good coach won't send an untrained athlete into a championship game, your Heavenly Father won't bless poor management with more responsibility. So embrace the training, because if you master stewardship now, you won't mismanage overflow later. Building your financial muscles in obscurity. This is the part no one claps for. The hidden grind. The long nights of budgeting when no one sees, the quiet sacrifices, the faithfulness in the field while others are flaunting. God often builds your financial strength in obscurity, not spotlight. Why? Because spotlight success without private discipline leads to public collapse. David was anointed king while still tending sheep. No crown, no palace, just faithfulness in obscurity. But that field is where he learned to fight lions and bears, skills he'd later need for Goliath and giants in the boardroom. The same applies to your finances. God uses delay to build financial muscles you don't even know you'll need. This is where you practice frugality and mindful spending. You track every naira in a simple Google Sheets budget or use Pocket Guard to avoid overspending. You cook meals at home when Uber Eats looks tempting. You study financial literacy books and podcasts in the midnight hour. You start saving even if it's N1,000 per week, because discipline compounds like interest. Modern Christian entrepreneurs like Lindsay Snyder, In-N-Out Burger heiress, spent years behind the scenes learning every part of the business. She didn't just inherit wealth, she trained to sustain it. That's what you're doing, quietly, intentionally, consistently. You may not see the fruit yet, but God is watching the reps you're putting in. You're not just waiting, you're weightlifting. Every budget, every tithe, every sacrificial choice is building spiritual and financial resilience. Obscurity is not a prison. It's your proving ground. God delays to teach you one of the most powerful wealth principles, delayed gratification. It's the ability to say not now so you can say yes to something greater later. And spiritually, it's the difference between chasing immediate comfort or cultivating long-term calling. The Bible calls this wisdom. Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." Translation: wise people save, fools consume. And in today's world of one-click purchases and soft life trends, delayed gratification is rare and therefore powerful. This delay isn't just about holding back spending. It's about developing the emotional intelligence and spiritual maturity to resist pressure, impulse, and societal flexing. That's why God sometimes says no to the house, the car, or the capital. He's stretching your ability to wait without wavering. Practically, you lean into this by embracing tools like the debt snowball method or debt avalanche method to tackle obligations systematically. You choose long-term wins, like a 529 college savings plan for your children, instead of short-term trips to Dubai. You automate savings through Ally Bank or Wealthfront so you don't sabotage your future with today's cravings. Even investing teaches this principle. Platforms like M1 Finance or Betterment reward those who play the long game. You invest not to see quick flips, but to watch your harvest compound, like Galatians 6:9 reminds us. Do not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time you will reap a harvest if you do not give up. Delayed gratification isn't denial, it's divine strategy, because what you build slowly, you keep securely. Sometimes, the delay is not about holding something back, it's about showing you what's already there. In financial droughts, God often reveals hidden provision. Think of the widow in 2 Kings 4:1-7. She was in debt, hopeless, ready to lose her sons. But when Elisha asked what she had, she replied, "Nothing except a small jar of oil." That "except" became her overflow. She didn't need new oil, she needed new perspective. And often, so do you. In your delay, God might open your eyes to side hustles using your current skills. Or show you how to create digital products, monetize a hobby, or teach a skill you've always taken for granted. Platforms like Fiverr, Skillshare, or Udemy can turn existing talents into income streams. You might discover that by managing your current income with Google Sheets or Quicken, you free up money you thought was missing. This is also when networking becomes a tool of provision. Who you know can lead to doors no degree can. And God often introduces divine connections in the dry season. Mentors, collaborators, even investors. Financial delay is God's way of rerouting your eyes. Instead of obsessing over what hasn't come, He invites you to steward what's already present. Because sometimes the oil you overlooked is the very thing He'll multiply. You don't always need new resources, you need revelation, strategically positioning you for divine timing. One of the most underestimated blessings in delay is timing. You might feel ready, but only God sees the full landscape. Who's watching, what's shifting, and where your blessing will have the greatest kingdom impact. So instead of rushing your request, God positions you for maximum influence and sustainability. Let's talk about Esther. She was positioned as queen long before her purpose became clear, and when Haman's plot arose to destroy her people, she was already in the palace. Esther 4:14 nails it, and who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. If God had answered her people's cry too early, she wouldn't have been in place to save them. That's divine strategy. Likewise, your financial delay may be placing you where you need to be. So when the opportunity, investor, or idea comes, you're already aligned. Maybe the market isn't right yet. Maybe your future business partner is still being developed. Maybe the customer base God's preparing for your product is still being formed. This is when you refine your investment policy statement, rehearse your pitch deck, or build your business plan in Notion or Trello. You sharpen your negotiation skills, learn about market cycles, and understand risk management. You stay ready so you won't need to get ready. When divine timing meets preparation, acceleration happens. Suddenly, doors open, contracts close, and things move faster than you ever imagined. But it wasn't sudden to God, it was scheduled. Delay isn't denial, it's divine choreography. He's positioning you where your impact will matter most. Inviting you into financial partnership. God doesn't just want to bless you, He wants to partner with you. And financial delay is often an invitation to co-labor, to stop waiting passively and start walking actively with Him in stewardship. Kingdom wealth isn't a lottery ticket, it's a collaboration between divine favor and human faithfulness. In Matthew 25, Jesus tells the parable of the talents. The master gave resources to each servant, not to store but to multiply. Notice, the only one who got rebuked wasn't the one with the least, but the one who did nothing with what he had. The delay you're experiencing might be God watching. What are you doing with your 100,000 before He gives you 10 million? This is the moment to implement systems that prove you're serious. Set up automated giving through your church or a Christian nonprofit. Open an HSA, health savings account, or solo 401k if you're a business owner. Use budgeting apps like EveryDollar or Tiller Money to create a plan. Apply value-based spending to align every naira with your calling. You also build discipline around giving. Not just tithing, but intentional generosity. Maybe you start sponsoring a child through Compassion International, or you fund a mission trip. When you move, heaven moves. Look at David Green, founder of Hobby Lobby. His company gives away over 50% of its profits to Christian causes. Why? Because he sees business as a form of partnership with God. That mindset starts before the billions. Financial delay is not a timeout. It's God asking, will you build with me or just beg from me? Because breakthrough comes to those who partner, not just plead. Using the delay to protect generational wealth. What if the delay isn't about you? What if it's about your children and their children? Sometimes, God holds back provision not to deprive you, but to protect your legacy. He's not just thinking of your current cash flow, He's safeguarding the foundation of generational wealth. Let's revisit King Hezekiah in 2 Kings 20. After receiving mercy from God, he got casual. When envoys from Babylon came, he proudly showed them all the treasures of Israel. No discernment, no strategy, just show off. And what happened? Isaiah prophesied that everything would one day be taken, and his descendants would suffer. Why? Because Hezekiah didn't think generationally. Contrast that with Joseph, who stored grain in Egypt not for his benefit, but for nations and generations. He managed wealth with foresight, not ego. That's what delay teaches you. It slows you down so you think long-term, not just paycheck to paycheck. This is the season to establish structures your future family can thank you for. You start a 529 education savings plan for your kids. You open a custodial Roth IRA for your teenager. You set up a will or living trust using tools like LegalZoom or Trust and Will. You research REITs or dividend reinvestment plans to grow slow, stable income. You document your systems, investments, and insurance. Even more, you write down the spiritual blueprint. What principles do you want passed down? What biblical values around giving, saving, tithing, and investing must survive you? God's delay might be the pause that protects your lineage from repeating cycles of poverty. Don't just build income, build inheritance. Biblical models who faced financial delay. You are not alone in this season. Scripture is filled with spiritual giants who experienced financial or circumstantial delay and came out transformed. Their stories aren't just history, they're your blueprint. Take Joseph again. From favored son to slave to prisoner, his journey was laced with injustice and silence. But it was that very delay that prepared him to manage national wealth with humility, integrity, and divine insight. Without the prison, there would have been no palace. Then there's Job, a man who lost everything. His wealth vanished, friends betrayed him, and even his own wife told him to curse God. But Job held on. And in the end, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. Job 42:10. Delay didn't destroy Job, it doubled him. Let's not forget the early church. After Jesus' resurrection, they were mocked, persecuted, broke, and scattered. Yet they practiced radical generosity, shared everything they had, and built a financial culture rooted in unity and stewardship. And God added to their number daily. Even the Proverbs 31 woman didn't build her household wealth overnight. She was methodical. She bought fields, planted vineyards, sold linen, traded profitably, all while fearing the Lord. Her wealth was the result of slow, strategic, spirit-led movement. Modern culture loves to talk about overnight success, but the kingdom runs on seed time and harvest. You're not being punished, you're being planted. Your delay places you in good company. You walk the same path as Joseph, Job, Lydia, the early believers. God hasn't forgotten you, He's forming you. Here's the truth you must hold tightly now. God never delays without purpose, and when His timing collides with your obedience, the same delay becomes your display. What once looked like stagnation will become your story of supernatural acceleration. Habakkuk 2:3 declares it boldly, "Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry." That's not poetry, that's prophecy. Your waiting is not wasted, it's layered with divine timing, divine preparation, and divine unveiling. Look at Boaz and Ruth. She gleaned in the fields, unnoticed, uncelebrated. But in due time, she was positioned to marry into wealth and legacy, not just for herself, but to enter the lineage of Jesus Himself. That's what God's delays do. They set you up not just for survival, but for significance. So don't quit, don't curse the dry season. Instead, declare, God is not punishing me, He's positioning me. I am learning the skills now that will protect the wealth later. My discipline, my faith, my stewardship are making me unshakable. Let this delay fuel your hunger for growth. Keep studying, keep budgeting, keep giving, keep tracking your net worth. Use tools like Personal Capital, Vanguard, or Stash to keep momentum alive. Revisit your investment policy statement. Teach your children. Journal your lessons. Build your vision board again. Your season is coming, not just for you, but to prove to everyone watching that God honors obedience, stewardship, and kingdom-minded discipline. When God moves, He doesn't trickle, He floods. So get ready. What's been delayed is about to be displayed. Affirm these truths over your life. I am being prepared for more than I prayed for. I steward well in silence, so God can trust me with sound. My breakthrough is scheduled, not denied. Wealth is not my idol. God is my source. My legacy begins now, not later. Subscribe to WealthOga right now if you know this word was for you, because your next season needs strategy, not just shouting. And we're here to equip you with both. Let's build wealth that honors God and outlives us.